think we're live. Brendan just requested dramatic music and a hype intro video to me yesterday, so we're going to work towards getting that and getting everyone pumped up
Yeah,
for the
if any
next
of you remember
spaces.
like Up Only, where it was like a countdown and then like a rocket going off, I feel like we need to have some sort of thing like that. But yeah, it's good to see everyone's day. Zach, I'll kick over to you.
Cool. You're all filtering in. Paul's joined us, and he only has a small amount of time. And we have some incredible things to show the Gopher community today. New tooling. There's been incredible updates on the Alpha Arena. I don't know who's online and has been exploring the tool, but insane UI UX updates that's making everything cleaner and easier to navigate. Before we get going and Brendan gets into the details, that old reminder, this is not financial advice. Use GoTrader as a research tool, and likewise anything discussed on this call is not financial advice either. Um, Great to have everyone here. I can see 30 in the room and we're climbing, so I think we are good to go. Brendan, hand it over to you. What's been going on this week?
Lots going on this week. Lots going on in the trenches. We've been seeing the agent versus human meta kind of blowing up over the last couple of days, which is super interesting. Interesting to see how, we're getting this landscape of agents that are doing well. We obviously saw that on N of 1. Grok, what version was it? 4.2? Have I got that right? Was their mystery agent, which is kind of interesting, showing that Grok's sort of situational awareness is pretty good. It's kind of interesting, right? Like one thing we notice about building models and these AI tools at Gopher is LLMs are not that good at reasoning with time series data. It's one of the things that you really have to kind of think about when you're building this tooling. LLMs don't do well at taking like a lot of time series data. So what do I mean by time series data? I mean, a string of prices that have happened over the last hour, like 61-minute candles. You really have to like structure and feed that into an LLM well for them to be able to really understand it. And if you don't do that, it can get overwhelmed. I think we're seeing a lot of these wrappers that people are building, N of 1 and others, where the LLM just isn't really by itself really set up to decision and reason well. And one of the things that we've spent an insane amount of time on, even last night when I was writing code, I was writing more code and more improvements around the way that our platform handles this complex set of reasoning around data that's like really challenging to understand. If I was to sit here and give you, as a human being, a ton of candlestick data, you wouldn't know what to do with it. It would like overwhelm you. Same thing happens with an LLM. It's kind of really interesting. So we're seeing this AI agent versus human meta coming out with like, I think Asta's kind of one of their incubator projects. Saw Grok 4.2, doing really well in kind of N of 1's benchmarking, but consistently we see on Alpha Royale, where we've got paper trading right now, agents that people that have experience with trading that are being deployed are performing really well in the market. And we've got to the end where like we've spent a lot of time over the last 2 weeks ironing out a lot of bugs. I was talking to someone this morning actually in Telegram. I was saying the irony here is that if we were just doing live trading, a lot of these bugs wouldn't exist, because a lot of the bugs here are just because we're recording complex trading signals and complex trading positions, paper trading. And the reason why we're doing this is it allows us to build a data set for backtesting. So everybody wants backtesting. We've heard you, we want backtesting, and we're going to build a simulation vector space, which is like a very fancy and complex word of saying we're going to load an environment with a ton of candlestick data, indicators, and then the agent can kind of fast forward itself through the data set. So instead of having to wait, 24 to 48 hours, you can essentially fast forward 24 hours of data in the past through the agent's logic and get the, what would the agent have done had it played itself through this data set in this kind of vector space of data, essentially. And part of being able to do that is having a really robust paper trading system. If you don't have a really robust paper trading system, you can't backtest in this way because of what we're doing. So that's kind of like where I'm at. It's been a really interesting week, lots going on, really energized with the product, looking forward to getting to live trading and seeing some of these really high performing agents get out into the market. The market's kind of weird at the moment, like volume's kind of drying up. Nobody really knows what's happening. Events like the Fed on, was it Wednesday, yesterday, the Fed did their rate cut, or Tuesday? I kind of lose track now because it's so insignificant. Like really, the Fed decision this week was kind of insignificant. It's already priced in. So yeah, back over to you, Zach.
Yeah, it's confusing times, and everything that we've built is helping to get through that noise and simplify your strategies and allow you to deploy those strategies. And in building a product video today, I really noticed a clear like 4-step system that all of GoTraders toolings provide you. Discover, quickly find the trades that matter and the narratives that matter. You can validate them through our trading assistant. You can then take those validated strategies, apply them to an agent, and deploy it, and see how it works through those strategies. At the moment, as Brendan mentioned, through paper trading. And then what Paul more recently built, you can protect those strategies through Gopher Guard and some new tooling that he has built in the background that I would love him to quickly show us and demo before you have to jump, Paul. It would be great to
jump early tonight.
Yeah, it'd be great to jump into what you built with order books and have a quick look at that and discuss when it's coming and what it provides traders out there.
Yeah, sure. Cool. Let me share my screen. I think it's actually live. I think it's there now. You can use it right now. So
it is indeed live. I just noticed that.
How
fast we move.
Went to prod last night.
Yeah, so some people may have already seen it. So let me know when my screen is live. Is it live? I think it is.
It's live, yeah.
It's okay?
Yeah.
Let me just add, though, before I forget, before I do this demo, I need to jump off. One of the other important things I think about back testing, and it's related to what Brendan was describing, is we can add different behaviors in a market that didn't happen. If you want to introduce a bit of chaos, we can add a bit more volatility. So you can replay market data, of course, that we've collected. But if you wanted to see how strong is my agent or my strategy, if the market just swings 20%, when we get to that next stage of back testing, you can add that kind of complexity in, which really helps you not just see how your agents work, in calm seas, but how it can work in a bit of a storm. And you can even add to that, give me how my agent reacts in a illiquid market. As you want to crank up the amount of liquidity you look for, you start moving into things like the order book and the depth of the market, which will bring me on nicely to what I will demo. But yeah, I think back testing can be simple if you just take the market data as it is and replay it, like Brendan said, time warp 48 hours into a few minutes. But you can add some really cool features into it, which really does help fine tune an agent or a strategy before you actually go live with it. Okay, so if you haven't looked at the order book analytics part of Gopher Trader that we released yesterday, what this is doing when I start, I'll turn it on, but I need to give a bit of an intro because when it gets going, it's pretty wild. There's quite a lot happening. This is real-time data that you're going to see. This isn't aggressive polling or delay. This is real-time coming direct from exchanges. You'll see at the top, we've got a switch. We're starting to weave in more than Hyperliquid. We had a big focus on Hyperliquid, which is awesome. But now we're starting to look at things like Aster as well. So this is one of the first things we're building with multi-exchange capabilities. And what this does, you've got a concept here of presets. So if I go for the top 3, this is going to load up the order books from Aster for BTC, Ethereum, and Solana. And immediately you can see this is a representation of the order book. Now, it's not that complex, but it's important to note to overlay different coins onto a single order book view like this, you have to actually take the data and normalize it to what I've done is 100% being where there's the most liquidity, and then less than 100% is where the liquidity is on the other side. So that lets you overlay multiple tokens onto a single chart view, which you can see here. And this is actually letting me see how smooth the liquidity is down the order books on either side from Aster. And you can scale it up to 8 different tokens. If you want to go for something like, I've got a few canned examples here, meme coins. So it lets you tap into different sets of coins and lets you look at the order book. When you start to look at order books, like I said, you'll see smooth lines suggest a nice steady order book, but a sharp edge like this suggests if the order book gets traded quickly, the market's going to move fast, the price is going to move. So while a lot of what we've given everybody so far with Gopher is a bit more slower pace, look at the sentiment, do some discovery, get some trade assistant analytics, this is a tool for people that are looking at trade and want to trade using the order book to get a real feel for where the depth of the market is, where the resistance is, where the support levels are. And while this is running, you can add the bars in as well. So with the bars there, you get a more graphical view of what's happening. But I hope you like it. It's pretty cool. It's real time. This is very fast data coming in and being rendered and shown on the screen very, very quickly. It comes back to this principle that we're bringing tools just like Guard that Zach was mentioning. These are tools that are aggregating views for you. They're taking data from different sources and bring them into a single view. When you want to scale up trading, as I'm sure some of you know, and if you've used the agent and you're adding multiple tokens for it to trade, the human eye, you can't look at all this stuff at the same time. If to do this with Aster or Hyperliquid, you'd have 3 different screens up for each token, and you'd be looking at the order books, and you'd probably be moving your head left and right at a crazy pace. To aggregate it in your own head, maybe you can do it. I'd be impressed. But these kind of tools help you get that holistic view of what's happening in the order books, on the exchanges in real time. And if I just add one more thing here to talk about, the market analytics section at the bottom gives you the bid and the ask side of each order book graphically, so you can see how they're sliding. As Brendan said, in fact, the market isn't doing much. These are all kind of sitting around the middle, and you can see that with the sentiment, it's sticking around neutral. So my camera's gone wonky. But what you can do is also expand this view, and you get a nice graphical view. You add more tokens, it gets more interesting. But you can see here, we've got all the order books coming in for all of those tokens, and it shows you something. It shows you another way to see a lot more close to the market real time, where the resistance is. Where's the market going? Is the market bullish or bearish? And that slider at the top, the sell pressure, neutral or buy pressure, there'll be an iteration where we get that into a chart. It's quite interesting. If you watch it long enough, you get a feel for where that indicator's going. But if you wanted this on your screen as something to refer to before you actually do an order, before you trade in the market, something graphical will be better, I think. So we're going to create a chart here, which will have historic representation of where the market analytics has been going. So you can run this in the background. You can flip to it, have a look. Right, the market's looking bullish. I want to buy. Let's go. There you go.
Quick question, Paul. I remember when we went through this yesterday internally, you were saying there's going to be some gaps on the histogram sometimes in the actual video. I think it's helpful just to explain what that means and what that looks like.
Yeah, let me try and find one.
Yeah, you can also freeze it in time as well. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty
it is. So the gaps in the chart, that isn't missing data. What it's done is where it's found 100% on the sell side, it's looking for the equal and opposite price on the buy side. So where it's found liquidity very close to whatever these levels are here, but on the opposite side of the bid and the offer, it's snapping the data for each of those levels into that place on the respective side of the graph. And what that actually does is, in a way, it's quite nice because it shows you where there's potential voids in the order book. So when you look at a normal order book, you see all the prices and you can see the depth and the width of it on either side, but you don't see, unless you can analyze that data yourself, you don't necessarily spot those gaps. So what this will tell you is between the bid here of 90,685 and 657, there's nothing in the middle. It's a small amount with Bitcoin, but it can make a difference when you're looking at other order books that
Yeah.
might be a bit slower.
Yeah, especially like more liquid
Yeah.
coins.
Yeah.
And price will move fast through these areas. Like if price was to start moving, you'd see price aggressively move through these area of like liquidity pockets, as it were, into the next like demand zone.
Yeah.
So really helpful for kind of seeing, and yeah, like some of those more liquid tokens, it can just help you understand like where might there be spoof orders, like, you know, where is the book being propped up, and where, if an order is pulled from the bid side, where is it going to kind of retrace down to? And like, you see this a lot where you have, you know, a big block of orders, the orders are pulled, and then price will move, you know, 5-10% down in the book, and it can just kind of really help you get an understanding of like where the order book structure is. And then also when you're comparing assets, like if you were to compare, like, I think Astra and Hyper are a pretty good comparison here. You can really understand like what quality of job is the market maker doing, providing bid-ask spread support on these assets. And, you know, in an illiquid market like we have right now, you may not be trading big size, like, but the market can move quite a lot with your bids, even if you're a smaller trader. So super interesting, and just a really valuable tool for getting a better and deeper understanding of the market and what's going on in the market. Nice, Paul.
And
this will, like everything else, continue to evolve.
Yeah, and we'd welcome any feedback on it, because we can do some good stuff with this. This is a V1. So yeah, let us know on Telegram. Anything that you guys think would be a good addition to this, we'll build it up.
Awesome, Paul. Love what you cooked up here. It's amazing.
Incredible. Built in over a weekend, from my understanding. As Paul mentioned, we have a GoTrader Telegram group. If Doc, our community manager, could throw that into the chat, and I'll get that link up. Really would love everyone to dive into here, ask any questions, particularly in and around how this data and how this visualization is actionable within your day-to-day trades. We want to make it stronger and suit your needs. When you demoed this to the team, Paul, or if you have to drop the question to Brendan, what became really interesting to me is, obviously you plug into Astra and Hyperliquid and we're getting data from there, but they don't offer this tool within their native platforms. And maybe one to you, Brendan, like, what is it that Gopher is offering here, and why can we provide these types of visualizations and these types of tools where they're not available on Astra and Hyperliquid natively at the moment, anyway?
I think Paul said it pretty well yesterday, and when Paul does drop, we'll just kind of wave yourself out. Exchanges specialize in trading, and what they want you to do on the exchange is place a trade. How you place the trade is not really that important. So we've got this huge advantage of kind of sitting on top of the exchange and being able to process and refine all of the data that's flowing through the exchange into tools and insights that really help you, a trader, position yourself with lower risk so as you don't risk losing a lot of money, position yourself in the market when the market is trending, and get ahead of trends, right? So like, none of these features are where an exchange specializes. They specialize in providing a venue on which you can trade in. And what you're going to find with Gopher as we continue every single week to iterate and provide more tooling, we're not only going to provide tooling that we think is helpful and valuable, we'll also provide tooling that you request as well, is that we will just become this ubiquitous layer on top of all exchanges. Like right now, on the back end, we support Binance centralized exchange for data sources, Asta DEX now for perps, and then Hyperliquid perps. And, you know, it's probably just a series of iterations from, you know, having Uniswap, Gate, Bybit, you know, whatever exchange you kind of wish for, all plugged into the back end. That just means that you're going to have this like Swiss Army knife of tooling where you kind of come to this one interface and you have your entire universe of access to exchanges, plus all of your AI driven tooling, so as you're always on top of the market. And Zach and I were having a conversation about this yesterday. Like, what is the biggest problem we all face today in the crypto space is that we're overwhelmed by an insane amount of information every single day. It is very, very hard to figure out the signal from the noise. It's the same in life now. Like with AI, it's just going to get increasingly crazy. You're going to see so many things that are just clones. You're going to see so many things that are new fads, new trends, and especially in the crypto sphere, like you really want to be able to filter through and get to the truth, and our tooling is designed to do that. And as I get into more of the demos today, kind of walk you through some of the UI redesigns that we've done, we'll kind of get more into that. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right, Osiris. Yeah, and that's the direction we're moving in very, very quickly. Very, very, very quickly. Like again, we've got some code in the back end that's just waiting that will do manual execution on all of these exchanges for you. We're just moving fast, but there's a backlog of features that we want to get right, and they'll all continue coming out pretty soon. Zach, I just started sharing my screen so I can kind of get into the next demo. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate you.
Yeah, let me drop, guys.
Yeah, Paul's in the
Paul,
UK, so he's
dinner.
going out for dinner with family. See you later, Paul.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, man. Cheers. Cool, Zach. Let's dive in. So, I was doing a demo this morning to some folks, and thought it was interesting just showing how some of our signals. Many of you know, like you're going to see a new style to the app today. Not every part of the app has been redesigned from a UX perspective. That is gradually happening over the next, let's say, like 2 to 3 weeks up until the end of the year, and you'll start to see the same styles that I'm going to show you today across the entire app over the next like 2 to 3 weeks, as we kind of really lean in and make the app look cleaner, more easy to use, and stuff like that. But today we're going to kind of go through and like discover some hot trades. So like the way that this is built is to take you through the typical flow. Okay, I want to filter through all of the 271 assets on Hyperliquid right now, and I want to get to like the most tradable assets right now. And right now the most tradable assets are Doge and Cardano, even though I'm not a Cardano fan. And these are all sorted by volume. So the bigger the bubble, the bigger the volume. I will pick Aster as well as one that we're going to kind of look at, because when I looked at it this morning, it was giving a pretty good signal in the trade assistant that was really clear to kind of understand. So right now our best trades are Doge and ADA. So I can kind of go here, I can unlock the analysis. It will kind of give me an overview of what is tradable. Let's actually take a look at the trade assistant at Doge right now. So I can select Doge here and have a look to see what's happening with price action. We can see that the 1 hour here is kind of seeing a bit of a rebound, and let's just take a look to see what is the best trade opportunity. Let me just clear my chat history, and this will run. Like this might take like 20 or 30 seconds to kind of dial in.
Brendan,
I did realize that we used to have this slider so as it would slide to the middle, and I personally like a bigger chat. So if you all like a bigger chat, let us know. But I think we're gonna maybe allow this to be pulled all the way across to 50% here. That's something that we changed in the refactor. And you'll see up here, a lot of stuff has changed. So the chat window is much cleaner. You're able to select different strategies from scalp, intraday, swing, or position trading, and you can customize your timeframes. So these are the timeframes that the agent is pulling in to do the timeframe based analysis. We just got a response from the assistant here. I'll go down to a lower time frame here. Let's just go down to like the 15 minute. I'm not really a 1 minute trader because that would make me go crazy. And you can see what's happening here. Like it's seeing the fact that we've got this kind of bottom forming, and when we break out, we're going to start moving up, and you can see the levels that it's kind of tagged. So intraday entry, we want to have like a pullback to, 13.8. So it's looking for like a throwback here with an entry around here. It's likely we'll see a throwback. This is like a low risk entry point if we're playing the breakout, and we can already see this throwback starting to happen as we're actually talking. So one entry here with stop loss set down around here, which is under this like low time frame swing low, and looking to take this is a very poor risk reward trade. Like I could actually ask the agent here, I could say I want let's say 3-1. I just noticed this is actually the wrong way around. We've got to switch that in our UI. 3-1 risk reward setup, and I can actually ask this to change it. If I want to see kind of the logic behind the entry, I can expand this. So it's a better way of like consolidating the chat interface, so as it's more usable, more compact, and easier to interact with, and very, very clear. It's also saying use low leverage. Like if you're positioning with a perps position, actually under leverage it. Just go for like a very small leverage, and it's deciding that based on the amount of volatility in the market, and you can see there's a lot of like the volatility on Doge right now is pretty high. We got a lot of volatility here, so it's recommending sizing down with leverage for that volatility, and we'll wait for it to kind of come back. It will give me an updated entry, an updated setup with a better risk reward, because for me, like this risk reward here is not what I'm looking for. And you can see it has now adjusted the risk reward to 3-1. This should be inverted. We just need to make a UI update there. That's a small bug. It's increasing our leverage a little bit because it feels more confident with the setup. And you can see it's looking at the 30-minute, the 1 hour, the 4 hour, and we're doing RSI, MACD, volume, and volume profile. And now there are more indicators. I don't know if all these indicators are hooked up properly. I think they are. But we're expanding this to 200 indicators over the next week. So you'll have like an entire flavor of indicators, and we'll even have like an indicator builder at some point where you'll be able to add in your own custom indicators to this. You can then bring in things like open interest, funding rates, long short ratio, Federal Reserve minutes, any other external data source that we use in sentiment discovery. You'll also be able to add in here as context with your trade assistant. And like I said, if I was to then go and open this particular short, like this is actually saying for better risk reward, open a short on Doge with these target levels and these invalidations. So as soon as I change my risk reward, it is now giving me a different setup, targeting different levels, and it will even take me through to Hyperliquid, where I can look at the actual asset I want to trade, and I can start thinking about placing these trades. And just to remind everyone, for those of you that are doing stocks, like maybe you're trading stocks on Hyperliquid, we do support all stock indices here as well. So you can go to Tesla, for example, and we can do the same analysis on Tesla as well. Like maybe I want to do a scalp trade on Tesla, and I am looking for the best scalp trade, and it will come back now with a recommendation for that. So Tesla, Apple, whatever it is you want to do, gold. You can start kind of analyzing all of those different assets from within here. Anything that is listed on TradingView, you can analyze immediately without any delay. It's all fully integrated. So I think it's 100,000 assets that you can analyze. Cool. All of your settings are up here. You can change how much of like your chat is getting into the agent. You can clean up certain messages, and you can delete your message history as well. We have a V1 and a V2 chat. This is locked because you can only switch the chat before you've messaged in it. Yeah, let me show you how it pulls in my position. So have a look at ETH. If you've been trading on Hyperliquid or Aster, you'll also pull in your past trades. And you can even use your past trade history, and you can analyze your past trade history as well and start understanding, like, what would be a better strategy, like where did I make a mistake, get all of that kind of interactive feedback on your past trading performance. And then obviously any open positions. And I've had this position open for like 3 weeks now because it's to demonstrate a bad position. So I was demonstrating this morning to someone. I've got this position open on Hyperliquid. It's a Bitcoin long. I just opened it randomly a few weeks ago. You can see that it's in the red. And what I wanted to show is, like, okay, if I got a position that's losing, that doesn't have stop loss, that doesn't have take profit, literally the worst position you could ever be sat on, how do you use this tool to manage that position? And you can see here this morning that I said, I have a position open with no stop loss and it's losing. How can I manage this? And what I have here is, like, really good advice with data backing it up, explaining to me what the rationale behind exiting this long position because of the way the market is behaving, and just kind of what the current market state here is. And if I want, I can copy this analysis, I can save it somewhere. I know people want some trading notes. We'll start thinking about that probably in the next couple of weeks, but maybe we can kind of save some of these things up and whatnot. And you can see all of my past BTC, USD trading history and positions where, made good margins. All of these trades have been in service of testing and iterating this product on this particular account. Zach, I'll pause there. I feel like I'm talking at 100 miles an hour.
You're on fire, and so is the product. I've been told that there's a bit of echo on my mic, so sorry about that if everyone's hearing it. I'll fix that for next week. I think what Brendan showed us, I want to take the obviously the high level non-technical view here, is he went from discovering trades, discovering narratives within our bubble tool, within our sentiment tool. So that was the discovery portion of what we offer, and then straight into the validation, the trade assistant. And you can see the level, depending on how complex you want to get or how proficient you want to get, is once you've discovered that asset, the ability to use our chat to fine tune your strategy to a high degree or a mid degree or just lightly in order to validate your trading. So it's that first stage of discovery into validation. And talking about deployment, Brendan, and setting your strategy, testing your strategy, within the poll that we ran in terms of what everyone wants to hear and see and talk about is obviously the Alpha Arena, which is humming and has been ripping away for the last 2 days now. That has had a UI UX overhaul, and we have agents in there. Obviously, we're paper trading as it stands, with all the complexity that adds, as you mentioned, Brendan. More complexity than even if this was live real trading. And would love, Brendan, we've been through this last week, but everyone's really keen to understand and actually go through that agent creation builder tool again at a very high level to understand, once they've validated their strategy, how they can put that to test in a really simple way and deploy the agent and see it actually trade against that strategy. And we also have a number of high-performing agents in here at the moment, Mr. 4, riding high. maybe some insights in terms of how what they've done and what they've built in order to get the performative agent that they're currently working with. So if you could give us that view of what's changed within Alpha Arena and some of the things that excite you about what you're seeing with the agent's performance, that would be a really good place to go. And I know people are really hungry to learn more.
Yeah, so I'll kind of go through the couple of big updates that we've done over the last week. So 2 weeks ago, we did a really big back-end refactor. We had maybe like 20 to 30 agents that were paper trading. And we then grew to 1,200 last week. So by Saturday, we had 1,200 agents. Those 1,200 agents, all with anywhere from like 50 to 100 assets each. So this is quite a significant like power law of scaling happening when you have that many agents. As I know it today, like I don't know any other platform out there that has that many agents trading in parallel with that many assets. So we've been really working on like focusing on making this scalable from day one. Like we saw that demand was so high that we have to get this scalable. And with getting it scalable, there is a lot of technical challenges that we are incrementally solving. So we've had a huge amount of updates. You will likely see the UI here shift to this style of UI over the next couple of weeks. I don't know the exact timeline on it, but it will get better and more intuitive than what we kind of have over here. But for now, what got fixed last week? We fixed a lot of the reasoning tooling that the agents were using. We were finding that some agents were not calling their tools correctly. Essentially, the way Gopher works is the LLM has a set of tools that it can use to do certain things. There might be a tool for getting market data. There might be a tool for analyzing RSI. There might be a tool for opening a long position. There'll be a tool for closing a long position. There'll be a tool for calculating leverage. There'll be a tool for managing risk. So you essentially, like, one of the core parts of what we've built here and a lot of what our CTO Ettore has built is the framework in which all of that logic happens. It's like you give a human a bunch of different things, like a knife to cut food, a fork to fork food, a bad example. All of these different tools. And as a human, you're expected to know how to use those tools. So one of the biggest things that we've really improved over the last week is giving the agent the right information in the right way so as it knows how and when to use its tools. That tool might be close or open a position, like I've said. That tool might be analyze the list of assets that I've been given and trade the highest probability trade with a risk reward ratio of 5-1, let's say. So still more work to do on that. Every iteration we see minor edge cases. Like even last night I was up quite late fixing a few minor edge cases, which will be released tonight or tomorrow, and you'll see like another set of improvements. For example, there is a bug today where you'll see in the terminals of agents there isn't logs. Why is that? It's because there's 149 agents, all with multiple. There's actually more than that. We now only show. That's a quick thing. We now only show agents that are correctly configured and that are able to trade. And because the market's a bit shit today, agents aren't really trading. Like a lot of them, like OKX was trading through last night and this morning, and then it hasn't opened a position. It closed its last position this morning, and it just hasn't done anything since then because it hasn't seen a trade opportunity that's worth trading. And I think that's pretty much like the same across the board here, is that most agents, the way that they're configured, haven't seen a particularly large number of like good trading opportunities today in the market, because the market's just been pretty crap. There's been not much volatility since yesterday afternoon. I mean, this is looking at Doge. Let's have a look at Bitcoin really quickly. Yeah, Bitcoin's got a little bit of volatility here. You know, we had this upswing, but it's not, the agent isn't seeing that as like it would probably want to see a pullback in most of the way that the agents are configured before it would enter on a position. It doesn't, our agents don't like chasing the market. They like entering on confirmation, and they're very specifically designed to enter on confirmation. So yeah, big update. The UI now shows all the information correctly in real time. We had a lot of different like streaming issues just because of the high volume of data. That's all fixed. And then our agent builder is had a bit of an upgrade as well. When you go through the trade setup here, trading pairs, we're limiting you to 7 pairs right now, just because when we had it as unlimited, 1,000 agents trading 257 assets, it's just a lot. And you know, we want people to like think about what assets they're trading. So I'm just going to randomly select some here. I think a lot of you now will know how to set up. I'm going to add 15-minute. Some of this like really bright green is going to change. It's a little bit like too bright in your face. So that's going to be updated. And then this is the big thing that has been fully debugged this week. You can now implement your own technical indicators. We did release this last week, but there was a bug with the technical indicators getting into the prompts. That is now fixed. So when you do configure your own technical indicators, they will correctly get into the agent. And these are the tools that I'm giving the agent. I wanted to trade perps. Yeah, this mint green is a little bright. We're going to have to probably tone that down a bit, but that will come in a fix. And prompt customization. Prompt customization does work. We've seen like a fair amount of you making prompt customizations. This is the next big update we have coming over the next, I would say like probably early next week. You'll be able to do really detailed prompt customizations. We have this like roadmap to get to like building your prompt with a chat. That's maybe like 3 or 4 iterations away. But for now, the biggest variance you're going to see in agent behavior is through prompt customization. I'm going to show an example of an agent that we deployed that had a degen prompt. And it'll make you laugh because it started off really well. Like it started off amazingly, and it's like turbo nuked its balance sheet. So this agent, it had its maximum profit at 53% when it first launched, and it just apes everything in size. So it's kind of prompted to ape everything in size and be preferentially long. And this is to demonstrate how, like, you know, prompt customization does have a really big impact on the way that your agent performs. So we're going to add a lot more tooling around prompt customization so as you can really understand and get a feel for how your agent will behave. And this is where backtesting comes. Like, once we get this to a point of stability, we'll turn on real trading. And it may well be that like your agent has to perform at a certain level until you then unlock real trading. We haven't figured that out. Would love like suggestions. If you just want real trading turned on, tell us and we'll, you know, think about doing that. But we're thinking like the top agents who perform the best after paper trading can then get access to real trading, just so as people don't go and like nuke themselves with like a bad setting. Like, like this agent, like this is hilarious. I find it hilarious. Like this is what happens when you build a, YOLO long with size agent, and back testing is the next big topic we're working on. Back testing is going to be a big one. We don't necessarily want to wait for back testing until we allow live trading, just because we know it's going to take a few iterations to get the fast forward simulation thing right. But as Paul was kind of hinting at, we've got a very clear idea of what simulation will look like in this sort of vector space, as it's called kind of technically. And you'll essentially have a tab up here that allows you to take your agent and replay it through, or fast forward it through a bunch of different scenarios, so as you can get confidence in how it's trading. So yeah, dive in, set up an agent, and once we've kind of tidied up the last of these kind of scaling bugs, we will flip the switch and you guys can then start doing some live trading, and back testing will be coming soon. So we're trying to get all that in over the next couple of weeks before the holidays.
Nice, Brendan. Speaking of setting up your own agent, for those that join the GoTrader Telegram channel, one of our performative agents, Mr., is currently ripping. I think it's number one. That was internally built by one of our team members and one of our traders. Obviously, when you set up an agent, like how you set it up and the strategy you deploy is completely proprietary. Like it's no one gets to see your strategy. But knowing that we have an individual who's been using the tool and it's been continually performing, he's provided me some insight in terms of the setup and how he looks at the actual builder and some of the tactics he deploys. And I'll be dropping some alpha in the GoTrader channel as to some ideas and some technical information in terms of what's working for him and why he's seeing such strong results at the moment. So all the more reason to dive in.
And it's also asset selection. Like we kind of, being able to select all last week was kind of a bit of a cheat code, because you didn't have to think. And honestly, like that's where the platform will eventually get to, is like you can just track all assets on the market and it will pick the best ones. Scaling there is hard. Like if you think about 200 assets with 100 agents, that's actually 200 times 100 agents worth of assets that you're constantly tracking. And we had 1,200 of those agents. so every 5 minutes, let me do the math on this real quick, because it's kind of funny. 217. Every 5 minutes, 260,000 assets were getting analyzed. So it was like millions of asset analyses every hour that was happening last week. And that surfaces a lot of bugs. And we're going to get there very quickly. Like we got a scalable backend that handles that. But yeah, we wanted to kind of dial that back in just so it's a better experience for everybody.
Amazing. A reminder to the 370 traders and degens watching us right now. The tools, the trader analysis and the sentiment discovery tools that Brendan took us through and the improvements on them earlier, you can test those for free. You come to the platform, you get 3 free credits and can explore those tools. If you want to go deeper, you can purchase those credits. In terms of the Alpha Arena and building an agent and deploying it, as of now, how much does that cost, Brendan?
It's totally free.
It's 100% free. I don't think you'll find anywhere else where a comprehensive agent builder and deployer that is currently free. So we're really excited to offer the wider trading community out there these tools for free to start testing. People are catching on. We have about I have my Google Analytics open at the moment. 80 people currently in the tool, testing it. Get in there now, start experimenting, start understanding how to build an agent, start seeing it perform. It's an incredibly exciting thing to be a part of, and I just recommend everyone to dive in.
Excuse me.
Discover the trades, validate your strategy, build an agent, let it go. And while we're paper trading, it's just an incredible ability to understand your strategy and how it operates, and again competes against other agents. And we'll be divulging more and more information in terms of how those agents are created.
Amazing. Yeah, I was just looking at how many requests we've had on the back end over the last month. I'll give you an idea of like how much inference is being done by these agents. 4 million requests over the last 1 week, and that is 133 billion inference tokens. That's insane. Yeah, and Osiris, live trading before the holidays. Yeah, that's the target. That is the target. Yeah, I would like to be able to have that as the last alpha for everyone before the holidays. That's where I'd like to see it landing. So yeah, 2 weeks-ish from today. Cool. That's it. We can wrap, Zach. I think that's everything.
Amazing.
Thanks to the several. We've had really good numbers this week. We're up to like 500 or so viewers, 600. Getting really strong numbers every week. Invite your friends. Come back next week. If you think we should have some guests or any other topics that we cover on the show, let us know. We do want to start doing more like active analysis and more of the, focus on what is happening on the market kind of topics, so as we can learn more than what's going on inside the product. But from me, I'll kick over to Zach, and great to see everyone. I'll see you all in the trenches.
Great to see everyone. And Brendan doesn't know this, but we have an exciting guest lined up for next week. I don't want to give too much away, but they are the CTO of one of the biggest agent builder platforms out there. We'll be announcing that soon, and really excited.
That's awesome.
You have no idea. Confirmed on Telegram. He's a big deal, and Brendan and him, I'm hopeful, will have a really engaging conversation around building agents and how that's becoming easier and easier given the tooling that we're creating and that they're creating, and then possible synergies between both of our projects and what we can bring to the table as a result of those. So that will be our first guest, rounding out the year. Thank you for everyone for joining. Reminder: this was not financial advice. And the tools that you use in GoTrader are research tools, and use them to stay safe and optimize your trading. Thank you, Brendan.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Soon.
See you in the trenches. All right.
Bye-bye.